Hey guys, what's up? I do apologize. I'm kind of getting over a cold right now. I'm still kind of you kind of hear it in my voice. Trying to get over it. I basically, I guess, caught my great nephew's cold or something like that, and stuff like that, whatever. But I still plan to work today, so I'm gonna be. So that's why I'm doing this. I want to do this real quickly before I have to get ready. But I wanted to preview. I wanted to talk about the Royal Rumble match this year. In fact, the Royal Rumble matches. Uh, yeah, you heard me right there. The Royal Rumble matches. Because we're not getting one, we're getting two. Excuse me. We're getting two. One for the men, one for the women, and basically what we all suspected and kind of were wondering when it came to the women's announcement a few weeks ago. Uh, what would the women's match be like? And basically, it was announced on Raw that, as Kurt Angle put it, he, Stephanie, Shane, and Daniel agreed that what's good for the men is good for the women. So we are going to get a 30-woman Royal Rumble. The women have to be eliminated by going over the top rope. And just like the men, I would expect this match either to kick off the show or be in the middle of the show, because if the show is going to be 4 hours, you need to have something at the beginning or in the middle to keep people's interest. And I would expect the women's match to take place possibly in the beginning or the middle. Uh, that way, you kind of space it out a little bit. Like if you do it right in the middle, which would be like in the middle of the second hour, almost the third hour, then you kind of get them ready for the next match. I would assume that middle would be like right in the middle of the second hour, like at the beginning of the second hour, towards the beginning of the third hour. So around that hour and a half mark, I would expect the women's Royal Rumble match to occur. I know some people might say, well, it makes more sense if they did it at the beginning. That way, people get on their feet, people are excited, and it would be very gentleman-like, very gentleman-like to put the women on the women's Royal Rumble match first. But and it gets people off the feet, and I understand that. But honestly, I think they're going to go into and honestly, like I said, honestly, I understand that, but I truly think that what they're going to do is they're going to go either with it kicking off the show, or they're going to do it in the middle of the show. And like I said, in the middle, I'm talking about more along the lines of you're looking around possibly the hour and a half mark to almost be hour and a half mark. So you give it to about the 3.5 hour mark, and then you kind of give them a little bit of space in between before you get to the men's Royal Rumble. There you go. Like I said, it's either going to be at the beginning or in the middle. They might even do it at the end of the first hour into the second hour, because you still give time for people to catch their breath, soak in what they're seeing, soak in what's happened, and then kind of mentally prepare themselves for the men's Royal Rumble, which is going to probably close out the show, unless they allow Brock to close out the show with Strowman and uh, and Kane, which I don't think they're going to do. So I would suspect that the men's Royal Rumble is going to close out the show, and the women's Royal Rumble is going to be either at the beginning, at the top of the first hour into the second hour, at the top of the second hour into the first hour, I should say, or it's going to be in the middle of the uh, second hour, the hour and a half mark. But as far as Royal Rumble matches go, what's funny is I just saw something on Twitter. I was posting links to this. As I was typing in the names for some of the people I was going to post the links to the Twitter, or tag them for them to see this. I typed in E. I typed a little E by accident, and the Pope, D'Angelo Dinero's Twitter came up, and it said Elijah Burke. So I'm thinking, could Elijah Burke make an appearance at the Men's Royal Rumble this year? It would make sense. He's no longer with Impact Wrestling. It would make sense for him to make that jump back to WWE, even if it's for a one-night appearance. So who knows? There's something to think about right there. But looking at the matches, it's really interesting how far, how different each match is going to be, even though the 30 participants each. It makes you wonder now exactly who's going to be in what. We know that the men are going to have 15 from Raw, 15 from SmackDown, maybe one or two NXT call-ups, and maybe a few alumni, returning stars, stuff like that. Some people are still banking on Chris Jericho making an appearance, which could happen. Jericho's the kind of guy that tries to keep things in the dark as best he can, especially in today's day and age of social media. So, that could be a possibility there. But as far as both matches go, the women right now are kind of like at, I guess you could say they're kind of at 20 each, in a sense. Some saying, well, Raw's got, this, and that's basically 19 competitors. But I think you got to miss it. You're forgetting that you do have 20 competitors altogether. You have 20 women. One of them is not there right now, and that's Nikki Bella. This would be the perfect match for her to come back in. But now the guessing game comes around of who's going to be in it, who's going to win. And it's really interesting exactly how this is going to play out. There's going to be a moment, because let's talk about the Women's Royal Rumble right now. There's going to be a moment in the match. There's going to be a moment in the match to where Absolution and the Riot Squad are going to be in the ring, and you're going to have all the other women in there as well, possibly surrounding them and eliminate them. That moment's coming. There might be a face-off between the both actions as well. But here's what's gone through my mind about this. My mind has thought about the fact of what if, I talk about both factions being surrounded by all the women. What if in the middle of that moment, one of the women from either Raw or SmackDown point to the screen, to the Titantron, and we see a video come up from earlier in the day, a backstage video showing Paige, Sonya, and Mandy embracing the Riot Squad, and Paige basically congratulating them for holding up their end of the bargain on SmackDown, and all that. Basically clarifying that they are in association with Paige and Absolution, that they coming to SmackDown was all part of Paige's plan as well. Just imagine for a moment. Just imagine. Hold on for a second. Sorry about this. Hold on for a second. Like I said, just imagine for a moment that occurring during the match. It would basically, I think, clarify from a storyline perspective what we'd all been wondering and guessing, Is the Riot Squad and is associated with Absolution? Is the Riot Squad also part of Paige's plan? If it makes sense. So, just for a moment, just for a moment, I would think we hopefully would get something like that. And the reason I say that is because then you could build on this big story arc from that. You can build on this big story arc that that's been started on Raw. That Paige feels, hey, I'm the one that's responsible for this women's revolution happening. I'm the reason the Divas division died. The Divas revolution died. I'm the reason for the women's revolution. I'm the reason you're all here. Imagine how bigger of an impact that would make if it spread across both shows. I'm just saying. I would expect a moment like that to occur, to happen, possibly. But we'll just have to wait and see. But we know that a majority of the women on both brands are going to be there, except for the champions. We know that Charlotte and Alexa are not going to be part of this. Unless Alexa drops the belt before the Rumble, and then she is part of it. I'm just saying. Well, she drops it at the Rumble to Asuka. You get the idea. And she's still part of it. But we know in a sense that like I said, we know in a sense that the champions are not going to be part of this match. So you take out two parts. That's 18 women that you got left. Because, like I said, you got to remember, Nikki Bella's on SmackDown. So, is it still part of SmackDown as far as I know? So, throw her in the equation. And you can put Brie Bella, if she comes back, she can put her on Raw. Or vice versa, whatever. So, you'd still have 10 each, if you count the Bellas. Now, let's take a look at who else could show up in this match. We know NXT, from what the reports are saying, is going to be sending a peripheral of women to the main roster for this one night. We know that there's going to be plenty of NXT women coming in to be part of this. Like I said, at least for one night. We know that Shayna Baszler, and this is spoilers, we know Shayna Baszler is facing Ember Moon at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. Now, if they put the belt on Shayna, that means Ember Moon is a sure lock for the Rumble. If they don't, that means Shayna Baszler is a sure lock for the Rumble. I'm just saying. But with that said, let's take a look at the other women that might be coming from NXT besides those two. Those two are kind of up in the air because one's going to be a champion and still could come up, or both could come up at the same time. But I'm just saying, it's always the one that loses that's going to get the opportunity the following night. Let's take a look at another possibility, one that I mentioned, and I talked about in another video when I talked about the Women's Royal Rumble match announcement. And I even mentioned this in a super chat with Deluxe Man. I said, Kairi, one of the names I brought up was Kairi Sane, the Pirate Princess. You can't tell me that if Asuka's not in this match, that if Asuka's in this match, I should say, that if Asuka's in this match, you can't tell me that WWE, despite how you think about them, maybe courtesy of Triple H, ain't going to say, let's put Kairi Sane in there, and let's hope we get a Kairi Sane face-off with Asuka. Because it could happen. It's a possibility. I mean, think about it. She comes in, Asuka's dominated so far in the ring. In comes Kairi Sane. In enters Kairi Sane. Dream matchup. There you go. Got your dream matchup moment right there. Need I say more? Need I say more? Uh, what else? Let's take a look at some other women. The iconic duo, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay. Long overdue, in my opinion. Billie Kay, of course, made one appearance on SmackDown last year or so as sort of a testing the waters enhancement talent kind of deal, but they knew she was from NXT, obviously. Sorry about that. But like I said, they knew she was from NXT. And from my understanding, yeah, she got beat, but she kind of showed a good showing, I'm guessing. But yeah, Billie Kay, iconic. Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, long overdue for them to show. This would be the perfect entry point for them, in my opinion. Uh, who else? Oh, here's one. And people are talking highly about her. Bianca Blair. Bianca Belair. Belair. Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair. The girl that was in the Mae Young Classic appeared on NXT. You got to get her. She's got to make an appearance here, even if it's for one night. Maybe test the water, see if you just want to bring her to the main roster or something. But Bianca Belair is definitely one to look at as a possible entrant in the Royal Rumble. Just because of her size and her strength, it'd be amazing. It'd be absolutely amazing to see her make this appearance, kind of get a spotlight on her, show what she can do. Hey, I'd say go for it. Another lock, I think, possibly for as an NXT representative, even if it's for one night, Candice LeRae. Johnny Gargano's wife, Candice LeRae. People are saying she's close to signing. What better time to sign her and bring her in than the Women's Royal Rumble match? You know this is the kind of match that she could do good in. She's competed already in a battle royal like match on NXT, where she's been towards the end, where she's gotten towards the end. So, what better way to bring her in, give her that mainstream introduction to the audience? And believe me, being in Philadelphia, that audience is going to know who she is. So why not do it? Why not bring her in? Yeah, she's NXT bound, but why not give her that exposure right off the bat, saying, "Hey, you can watch her on NXT, but here she is right now as part of the Royal Rumble." I say go for it. What else do you got to lose? I say go for it. Right there. So, I mean, if you're going to be in Philadelphia, the most hardcore IWC internet wrestling community, hardcore wrestling fan base town in the country, if not the world, what better place to bring in some of these women than there? Even if it's for one-off appearances in the Rumble. I mean, come on, you can't tell me that wouldn't really shake things up. Heck, Nikki Cross, another good choice. Nikki Cross would be perfect. Can you imagine the reaction she'll get? But that's just some of the women. What about the other women? What about some other women that can make one-off appearances because they've been associated with NXT? They can get this opportunity. Give it that Mae Young like feel, if you will. Not, like presentation wise, but basically like, hey, here's this person and this is what the history is about. How about Mercedes Martinez? Holy smokes. Talk about somebody that you want to bring in. Santana Garrett. Sarah Del Rey. The one that's helping sometimes in the Performance Center. I'm just saying, opportunity is right there. Even if it's for one night in the most hardcore wrestling city, in the most passionate wrestling city I could think of, be the best place to do it. Best place. Excuse me. But to me, it would be the best place to do all that. Yeah, you can have a few returns in there as well. I was just thinking in my head, Carmella basically got her ass handed to her, no pun intended, by Asuka at the Survivor Series when she started doing the slap. And I was thinking to myself, she's being portrayed as the only kind of girl that would have done that to Asuka in the Survivor Series match, and she did. I basically said she'd be the kind that would do it, and she did. So what better time than to have Carmella get her ass handed to her again than to have a one-time return of Karma. Imagine she's doing the moonwalk in the middle of the ring. Maybe she's eliminated somebody. And she's excited. She's just cocky and everything, saying, "Yeah, see, I'm good. No, nobody could touch me," kind of deal. And all of a sudden, the buzzer goes off, and you hear this, and then you see that look on Carmella's face, like, "Oh, not Carmella, but Carmella's face, like, oh crap." And then she slowly turns, and out comes Karma. That's a moment I think we all want to see happen. I think that's a moment we all want to see happen. And what better place to do it at than the Rumble and in Philadelphia where the people are going to pop for her, for Karma, Awesome Kong. I'm just saying. And then if that's not enough, of course you got to have returns, right? You got to have some Hall of Famers, alumni come back. How about Serena Deeb? We saw her in the Mae Young Classic. Bring her back. Let her compete in this. Trish Stratus, of course, people are expecting that laughter, that sweet, that Trish laughter to fill the arena when the buzzer goes off and out she comes. Lita, people want to hear that music again and see her come back. Molly Holly, Ivory, Jacqueline. Jackie just went in the Hall of Fame. Why not bring her back for one more shot? The possibilities are endless. Beth Phoenix, she's going to be on commentary. Give her that last shot. Layla, if she's not pregnant or anything, bring her back. I mean, there's a lot of superstars a lot of women superstars I just named you could bring back. Heck, I'll even throw one out from the 80s and 90s that you can bring in. Just for that nostalgic 80s feel for anybody that grew up on wrestling from way back then. Wendy Richter. Imagine the girls just want to have fun song blaring across the sound system. And a lot of the young kids going like, what is that? But the older adults going like, oh, I know who that is. And then out comes Wendy for this one-time appearance in the Rumble match. Instant magic. Instant magic right there. I mean, the possibilities are endless. They are endless. When it comes to who you can bring in, who's going to be part of this, who you'll bring up from NXT for one time only, maybe a permanent shot, who you can bring in for a one-off appearance, even if they're going to be part of NXT down the line, or just bring them off to the independents to give them that mainstream exposure, and even the alumni, the Hall of Famers, the former stars. For the women, it's endless. And being 30, it opens up possibilities. But that's not all. That is not all. Now we get down to who's going to win. A lot of people are saying you got to go with Asuka. And if Asuka's part of this, then I say yes. But if Asuka's challenging Alexa, she's out of the equation. She can still be part of it if she doesn't beat Alexa, or Alexa gets herself disqualified to count it out or whatever. Asuka could still be put in the category. But who could win? One other woman I forgot to mention before I say that can make an appearance in this is Stephanie McMahon. Imagine the moment all the women surrounding Stephanie, she's thinking, oh, y'all going to thank me. But no, they all gang up together to get rid of her, saying, oh, no, you ain't hogging our spotlight like you've done everybody else, like you've done before. You're out of here. That could be a moment people would enjoy. But getting back on topic, like I said, a lot of people are saying Asuka, it's a good choice, But if she's competing for the women's championship, you know, who knows? Who knows what could happen? Um, but like I said, she's not a bad choice. But if I'm WWE and I want to go with someone that's just as white hot right now as anybody, as white hot as anybody in the women's division right now. If I want to go with anybody, and I know I'm going to get some flack for this, I go with one or two ladies. If it's not Asuka, I go with Paige from Raw, or I go with Becky Lynch from SmackDown. That's who I go with. One of those two ladies. One, if you go with Paige, it's because she's white hot right now. She's part of one of the best, probably one of the better storylines you got going in WWE. And it would basically validate her claim as being, hey, I'm the reason this is all happening. Storyline wise, it would validate her claim for saying, hey, I'm the reason this is all happening. I'm the reason you all got this opportunity. And from a storyline perspective, it would validate her claim and make her more cocky about that. And imagine the payoff you could have with her competing for the women's championship at WrestleMania against Asuka, even in defeat. If Asuka's the champion by then, because if Asuka doesn't become champion, then yeah, Asuka has to win the Rumble match. Is no questions asked. But if it's not Asuka, and let's say Asuka becomes champion before then, and you don't go with Paige, then you go with Becky Lynch. The reason you go with Becky Lynch is because apparently she just came off making the Marine 6 movie with The Miz, and usually knowing WWE, they like to push their new current movie stars on their roster, on the newest stars of the latest movies. And Becky Lynch is one of them, or is now one of them. So I would say Becky Lynch would be a perfect choice. And the way it would work out is you could have the battle of the horsewomen at WrestleMania. You could have Becky challenging Charlotte, or let's say they put the belt on Ruby, which would be a surprise. You could have Becky challenging Ruby, and that could play off what the Riot Squad tried to do to her. And you'd have this months of build and all that. Possibly, you could go anywhere with that, with Becky as your winner. Same with the Raw Women's Championship. Like I said, if Asuka doesn't win before then yeah, her winning the Rumble makes a lot of sense. You build to the match at Mania, where she basically annihilates Alexa in a few seconds. Makes sense. Because basically, storyline wise, you'll paint Alexa into a corner where if she tries this or that, she loses the belt. Then she just loses the match in a few seconds. And off to the races you go with Asuka. Or you could have Paige win and have Asuka become champion, and you build to this matchup to where Paige goes one-on-one with Asuka. They would have a competitive match, and in defeat, you could show that Paige is probably the only one that could hang with Asuka and come closer than anybody to beating her. It makes sense, in my opinion. But yeah, if I would, but yeah, my choices are, if Asuka is not going to win the Rumble and she becomes champion before or at the Rumble, then my choice on the Raw side of things is Paige. SmackDown side of things, if they go to SmackDown route, is Becky Lynch. I think it's too obvious that you got to go with them. But like I said, all the other ladies that I feel are going to be there, that I mentioned, I definitely feel are going to be there at least for a one-off appearance, one-off appearance, a one-night return appearance, stuff like that. Because those women showing up would really help the Rumble. You introduce these new women that are coming in for this one appearance to the whole world, even before they go back to NXT or start with NXT, as well as you, uh, give stars, Hall of Famers like Richter, Trish, Lita, Jacqueline. You give them that one last hurrah before they decide to hang it up. So, I think, and even Beth Phoenix, do the same thing. I think it would work. So, my honest opinion, though, if you're not going to go with Asuka and you're going to make Asuka champion before this, you go with Paige or Becky. But if Asuka is part of this, it's got to be Asuka all the way. All right. Now, as far as the men go, this is a really interesting conundrum. Because you got 30 men. You're going to get a few NXT call-ups. Even for one appearances, maybe permanent. We don't know. But you're going to get some call-ups. I know for a fact that you're going to get Aleister Black there. He's going up against Adam Cole in an Extreme Rules match at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. So even if that's Aleister Black's only defeat, you know that the next night they're going to bring him into the Rumble. You know that. And imagine the reaction he gets when his music hits. So you're going to get Aleister Black. You know in effect that you might get Andreas Cianamis. You might get Johnny Gargano. You know all that for a fact. So with those names, some of those names, you might get the Authors of Pain. You might even get War Machine or Roderick Strong. I'm just saying. The names being tossed out there, oh, who's who. You can get all members of Sanity. I'm just saying. Or male members, that is. But with those names being possible entrants in the Rumble, courtesy of NXT, you also know you're probably going to get some Hall of Famers, some returns. You know that for a fact that Big Show might come back. You know that's going to happen. Who else? You might hear a ho, and he'll come in. I'm just saying. I'd be surprised if they got Ryback. I'm just saying. Daniel Bryan, people are saying, could make an appearance back in the ring. Undertaker, which a lot of people are fearing is going to happen. All these people. You could have, let's see. Heck, Hulk Hogan. Imagine his music hits. Holy smokes. Rey Mysterio, possibly. Chris Jericho. All these names are out there. Of who they could bring back for one night, bring back as a returning basis, stuff like that. Like I said, Drew McIntyre would be a surprise. Imagine a moment where Drew McIntyre's in the ring with Heath Slater. Heath Slater's like, "Yay, 2/3 of the CMB," and he gets a Claymore kick for his troubles. Oh, the possibilities are endless here. But as far as the match itself, we know we're going to get 15 from Raw, 15 from SmackDown. But who wins? Who wins overall? Besides all these appearances, the possible call-ups and all that, in addition to that, who wins? Well, if I was to take a look at this match, and I was trying to make a guess as to who should win, I'm going to go with two choices on each side. On the first side, on the Raw side, I should say, the two people I would choose on the Raw side, I would have to go with one of these two people if they go with the Raw direction. I would have to go. Okay. With Roman Reigns, unfortunately, because that's the obvious choice. Or hold on for a sec. Hold on for a second, folks. It's behind my computer. Never mind. It went off on its own, I guess. Anyway, like I said, sorry about that. But like I said, if I was to go with two from each side, from the Raw side, of course, you got to go with Roman because that's the obvious prediction. Or if they play it smart and they realize, hey, people are not going to like this, then obviously I go with Finn Balor. Finn Balor or Roman Reigns. Because you know what? Honestly, Balor, people could say he's lost in the shuffle, but if you're associating him with Anderson and Gallows right now, and you want to put him in that role of he's a tweener face, whatever, or a baby face with heelish tendencies or whatever, then this is the best opportunity. So if they finally decide, hey, people are not going to like Roman going over, Roman becoming the challenger for Brock Lesnar, which is obvious from the start, then you go with Finn Balor. It's obvious. You got to go with him. You can say, well, what about Braun Strowman? You can go with Braun Strowman too if you want to. But I think the one that needs it the most, besides Roman, who obviously a lot of people feel doesn't need it, is Finn Balor. I go with Finn Balor, and I set up that match at Mania. Because, I know some people, like even OTR Central, would say, doesn't make sense. He's not over. It's a mismatch. What better arena, what better setting to prove the doubters wrong than WrestleMania by having Finn Balor go over Brock Lesnar? It makes sense. It honestly does. Because pretty much everybody is saying the same thing. That if you go with Roman, everybody pretty much knows what's going to happen. Everybody's pretty much calling out WWE on this. They're saying, oh, Roman's going to hit one spear and that's over after he's kicked out of multiple F5s and took in 100 something suplexes. So, yeah, if I want to shut up the critics, I want to shut up the naysayers, I go with Finn Balor. I put Finn Balor over Brock at Mania. Makes sense. It shuts people up. It shows to them, hey, you think we were going to go one direction, but you were wrong. We're going in this direction. And again, it makes all the sense in the world. It really does. Now, from the SmackDown side of things, here's where it gets interesting. A lot of people are saying that Shinsuke Nakamura is penciled in as the favorite on the SmackDown side because that would help us build to Nakamura, AJ at Mania, even after you've teased it this past year at the Money in the Bank. And pretty much both men have been very vocal in a sense. And that they want to do this match against each other at Mania. They've even teased it at a house show. So why not go all the way? So yeah, Nakamura on the SmackDown side of things is the obvious choice. But if I was to go with an alternative, then to me, the obvious alternative to go with is Kevin Owens. I did a top 10 list. I kind of did 10 superstars that I felt could win the Rumble. I showed that to the Lex man. He liked it. Said these were good choices. But obviously, right now, I would go with Kevin Owens because the storyline makes sense. Because Kevin's always wanted that one last championship opportunity against AJ. Not a non-title, but a title match. Yeah, he's getting it in a handicap match at the Rumble. But storyline-wise, it would work because this would be his last opportunity to wrestle for a championship against AJ. And if he doesn't, and you could even add in that stipulation that, hey, this is your last opportunity, Kevin. You don't win the WWE Championship at Mania, no more title shots. None. It would make sense from a story perspective because it'd be like, okay, this is my you could have Kevin, even as a heel, be like, okay, this is my last opportunity. I got to make the most of it and just run with it. Story tells itself. Now, if you want to throw a wild card in there, just like with Raw, you could have Strowman be that wild card in Dark Horse to win it. But if you want to throw a wild card Dark Horse on the SmackDown side, then you pay it off with Dolph Ziggler winning. You have Dolph Ziggler come back, you have him win it, surprises everybody, and basically you have him come on the mic and say, "This is why I left. This proves I'm better than everybody else. And at Mania, I'm going to become champion because no one, not even AJ Styles, as phenomenal as he is, can't do what I do." And storyline wise, you culminate it in a match at Mania to where even if you want to play up Dolph saying he's better than everybody else, have Dolph challenge AJ to a 30-minute, 60-minute Iron Man match. It would work. But that's if Dolph wins. And Dolph, just like Braun, to me, are the wild cards in the equations because their names have also been brought up to possibly win the men's Royal Rumble match. But overall, if I was to pick two legitimately that needed the most besides the two obvious choices, besides two obvious choices on both, besides the obvious choices for each brand, that being Roman for Raw and Shinsuke for SmackDown, the two other ones that I feel needed probably more so than them, with all due respect, Balor and Owens. That's my opinion. Because the stories would work out terrifically. Storyline wise, everything would work out. It would really surprise people. You build on the whole Owens storyline right now that's going on with Shane and everything, and he finally gets that one last opportunity, that one last championship match he's been wanting against AJ. Boom. What better place than Mania? Add in the storyline that it's his last opportunity. And then as far as, AJ, and as far as Raw goes, to shut up the naysayers, to prove them wrong, you have Balor go over, and you have him be the one that challenges Brock at Mania and beats Brock at Mania. So to me, storyline wise, those both make sense. And then on the women's side of things, what bet you got, you have possibilities with the women, like I said, on the Raw side of things, got to go with Paige if Asuka doesn't enter and win, which would be the obvious choice, no matter what. And on the SmackDown side, I would go with Becky Lynch. And again, the stories write themselves. You could have Paige challenge Asuka at Mania as well as this Royal Rumble win, this historic one, would validate her claim as being the one responsible for everything happening, as far as the women's revolution is concerned. And you could have her try to validate that even more so at Mania against Asuka, even in defeat. And even even in defeat, show that she came this close to doing what no one else could do. And then on the SmackDown side, you could have the battle of the four horsewomen between Becky and Charlotte to see who's the best. Or you could have Ruby become champion, which would surprise everybody, and have Ruby fight Becky and basically play off what the Riot Squad did the first night in on SmackDown. Play off of that. Again, I think those choices, as far as the women are concerned, if Asuka doesn't enter and win, which should be the obvious choice and direction to go in, those two to me are the best options. For either brand, as well as the men. The men, like I said, if you take out, with the exception of the obvious two choices as far as brands go, that being Reigns and Nakamura, I think the other two choices that need to do it and need to be booked should be Balor and Owens. That's my opinion on it. Because again, it would play off great storylines. Balor, shut the naysayers up, the critics up. Owens plays off into his storyline currently. He gets that one last shot against AJ. There you go. So so basically, as far as the men and the women go, those are my thoughts on who I believe should go over. Besides the men, the two obvious choices, but who I feel are likely winners of the Royal Rumble matches on the last Sunday of this month. So that's really all I'm going to say, folks. I got to go get ready for work now. Let me know what you all think. Thank you all for watching live. Comment down below. Comments are welcomed. And I am out. God bless. Take care.